Hello and welcome to the AV Wannabe, a podcast where I introduce my sister to movies she's never seen before. I'll be your host, Brad, and this is my long-lost greaser of a sister, Aubrie.
Welcome to the club.
Today we'll be talking about Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Aubrie, what did you think? How does it stack up to the other ones? To the other Indiana Jones movies?
I really enjoyed it.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah. I think I might have liked the last one better. I think I liked the third one better. But this one was really enjoyable. I mean, there's a couple of things that I wish weren't in there.
Right.
But overall, it was like, I thought it was good.
Yeah?
Yeah, I thought it was a good movie. I liked it better than the first one. I liked it way better than the second one. I liked it less than the third one.
Yeah.
But I liked it.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Is that not what you were expecting?
No, I wasn't expecting that because this isn't my favorite one.
It's not my favorite either, but I think it's better.
I think this one is my least favorite.
Really?
Yeah.
Even worse than 2?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, I'm not sure. I think they outdo each other in different areas. Yeah. I mean, we'll get into it. I just didn't like a lot of this movie, but at the same time, I liked a lot. So
Yeah.
I'm torn with this one because I do like it, but I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe as we talk through it, I'll come to terms with some of these feelings.
Yeah. I thought it was fun.
Mm.
Like, I thought it was a fun experience to watch. I think it had a lot of energy, and I thought they did a good job for the most part. I loved our characters.
Oh, yeah, there's a bit of them this time.
There was a bit. I'm a little confused. You might have to clear some things up for me. First of all, I loved the Indiana in this one. It felt right.
Yeah, Harrison Ford.
He did a great job as
Mhm.
this, like, older version of Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I agree on that.
Definitely, like, growing into this role that he's had for so long.
And it feels like it aged properly.
It did. It aged well. It aged right. And I
Mhm.
think it felt the most like the first one. And I thought it was really well done. I liked our villain. I thought she was, like, intimidating, but appropriately scary, but quirky, a little strange, but like sensible. And yeah, I thought she did a good job. I liked Shia LaBeouf a lot, which I haven't really seen him in anything except Even Stevens.
Transformers?
No.
You haven't seen
I've
Transformers?
seen Transformers.
Oh, I assumed that you did. I should put that on the very first Transformers on the list.
You realize what podcasts we're doing, right?
Yeah. Oh man, I didn't realize
I've seen
that.
like bits of Transformers, but I've never seen Transformers.
Right.
It'd be like one of those things where I'd be like, somebody'd have it on in the dorm, and then I'd see like some of it, and then
A
I'd leave,
scene,
or
yeah.
you know, or like we'd have to go somewhere. Anyway, liked him. I thought he did a good job. I love that we got Marion back. I was so excited to see her. Okay, 2 things, or maybe just one. The Ox.
Yeah.
Where does he fit here? Because I don't think I caught why the relationship he had with everyone. I know that he went to like school with Indiana Jones and they were friends, but I don't know how him and Shia LaBeouf were so close.
It sounded like Ox was like his stepfather, almost like or like a mentor or something, like the guy
Okay.
that comes by and it's like, oh, it's Uncle Ox, you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
So it was like the most father-esque figure he ever
But
had.
he had
A stepfather.
yeah,
It was
which he thought was
his
father.
dad. Yeah.
Yeah, because you could tell like when Shia LaBeouf, what's his name in the film?
They call him Mutt,
Oh right,
but
I don't like calling him
you find out that he's actually the third. He's
Right.
also Henry
right.
Jones.
Yeah. So, I'm just gonna keep calling him Shia LaBeouf. So when like Shia LaBeouf like first
Yeah.
sees Ox, you could tell there's like some deep feelings between them,
Mm-hmm.
and I just wasn't sure how or where that came from.
Right.
But after you said it, I feel like I did know that.
Yeah. I mean, because I was thinking it was his stepdad,
Yeah.
and
I don't think he was a stepdad. I
don't
think you're
think
right.
so
I think it was
either.
more like a mentor.
yeah, I think he was like the Uncle Ox. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
like in his life constantly.
Yeah. And then the guy that's with Indiana Jones at the beginning when they both get pulled out of the car, and then he's like the triple agent.
Oh,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
I didn't love him. I didn't see like a purpose for him, or like, I mean, okay, I shouldn't say that. I understand that he was the link keeping the bad guys with them the entire time. He was what kept them.
Kept on dropping the breadcrumbs.
I get that. But I didn't like him. I understand that like they wanted to like throw you by like, oh, he double crossed him, and oh no, he like double crossed him, and
It's a triple cross.
he's on our team, and then he did it again, and it was supposed to be like betrayal and like all this.
And then he's supposed to go
emotional
out in a
things.
way that you're like, I still like him.
Yeah, but I didn't care for him.
Yeah.
The entire time I didn't care for him.
Right. He was one of the things I didn't like.
Yeah, he didn't bring much to the table to where he wasn't funny, he wasn't talented. There was no like, I mean, there was a really big history that they kept talking about between him and Indy.
Yeah.
But I didn't really care about it. They didn't have good chemistry, and it just didn't feel right.
No, I agree. The interaction between Indiana and him felt forced.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it was supposed to be like this deep bond that both of them had. War buddies, you know what I mean? Apparently, also, they were spies in Berlin
Yeah, which...
during World War II, I'm guessing.
Yeah, but it's so interesting how it's like the Indiana Jones we've had in the past 3 films is an archaeologist, he's a professor, and now he's a war hero? He's a colonel?
It kind of makes sense to me.
It does make sense because there's a war, and I'm sure like there was like a call to service kind of thing.
Yeah, World War II was big.
Yeah.
A lot of people just signed up, not to mention there was the draft.
Mm-hmm.
When we watched Band of Brothers, remember the guy with the really white blonde hair? It was when they're during the snow scene where they're in a thing and he's like looking at his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, she cheated on me, and he gives the picture to the other guy.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember that scene?
Yeah, vaguely.
That guy was also a professor, or he was a teacher, you know what I mean? He worked at a university.
Yeah.
And so I could easily imagine Indy doing the same thing, even though he might have been older. I still can accept it.
Yeah. I mean, I did too, because at first I was like, whoa, this isn't consistent. But then I was like, no, it makes sense with their timeline that they're giving us this whole time, that he would do that. And he's talented, he's good.
Mm-hmm.
And so that he would move up.
He's a fighter.
Yeah.
He's smart.
Mm-hmm.
So I could easily see him inspiring a bunch of young lads. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I liked the story in this one. I love a good father-son story.
Yep.
I think it was funny. I liked him and Shia LaBeouf's relationship. I thought they worked well together. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
And Marion, I didn't love her this time around, but I still liked her. I still thought they all had really great connections amongst each other. So I thought that was nice. The first like half of the movie, honestly, most of it, like 2/3 of it, I love them on board. There's just like bits of like first when they're in the jungle and it looks like Harrison Ford's back on planet Endor.
Yeah.
And then Shia LaBeouf turns into like Tarzan, and there's this like monkey army and stuff. I didn't like that part because it was too like he's like fencing. He's a fencing master now.
Yeah.
When there's been no like groundwork of like, oh yeah, he used to be a fencer. Or, like his mom kind of was trying to coach him, and he's like, it's not a match, but I don't know.
Well,
you keep waving your hand at me, and I don't know what you're trying to.
Well, I was trying to say even before then, they kind of like tried to plant a seed of him taking fencing when he's telling his dad that he was in private schools, or when Shia is telling Harrison Ford, Indy, that he went to private schools and they were trying to teach him fencing and all this debate and stuff.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So that was the seed that they planted to show that he could fence.
Yeah, I totally skipped over it. But it's like when they're like, they spend so much time. Like it would have been funny for like a few seconds for them to be like fencing with each other on 2 cars. But it was so long. And then it was like, okay, I get it. And then it just didn't look right after a while. And And then he like started swinging from vines and
He's doing the like between two cars splits.
yeah, and it's just it was too much.
That's what I wanted to say about like not that specifically, but this too much thing. Like I get now that Indiana Jones is supposed to be overtly ridiculous
Yeah.
and a lot of the stuff they do, but they like took that knob and then broke it off and just twisted it past a level that it normally went to. The fact that Shia LaBeouf now is Tarzan and is swinging through the vines is ridiculous to me, especially now that he's got a monkey army
Yeah.
and the monkeys know to fight with him.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. The driving the car off the cliff and it hits that tree that's super malleable that
Yeah.
gently puts him into the water. Ridiculous.
That they fell off 3 waterfalls.
And that the car falls off the best way to where Marianne stays in the driver's seat. Everyone's still in their seats except for Shia. He has to keep on crawling
Getting back
in.
And the odds that they got an amphibious car.
Everything about it, it's too much. Like, and I get it's Indiana Jones. Like, there's not really an Ark of the Covenant that they found. There's no Holy Grail that they found, you know?
Yeah.
Voodoo isn't real. And it all happens. I'm fine with suspending disbelief in certain areas. Like, you want me to believe that there's alien race that once was on Earth and helped teach people how to agriculture and irrigate the farms and stuff? I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. I think the premise of the movie is great. At the end of the film, when the alien comes to life because it merges 13 of them together and now it's got flesh and blood, I'm not good with that. I'm good with a skull being a magnetic to things that aren't supposed to be magnetic. I'll accept it. I'm not good with Indiana Jones jumping into a refrigerator and getting blown up by a nuke.
That was crazy.
So
yeah, I didn't like that either. And that he immediately pops out and doesn't get any radiation poisoning.
well, I think they're supposed to be insinuating that they're washing off the radiation.
But that's not how it works.
I think that's what the 1950s thought it would work like.
Oh.
Like he's clearly got radiation sickness that they haven't gotten rid of. But I don't.
Maybe that's what it is. There were no aliens. He's just now going through this like psychotic meltdown.
If that is the next film, like they start off like that, him in a psych ward with a straitjacket on, this will jump up to be my favorite one immediately. Yeah, there's so much about this movie. The highs were high and the lows were low. So like you said, you liked the evil Ukrainian lady.
Yeah, I liked her well enough.
I didn't.
Okay.
I hated her accent.
Yeah.
It sounded forced. It might actually be her accent, and if so, I apologize. But it sounded too cartoony. Like they were pushing it too far. Like the way she said stuff, like "this is the way" and stuff like that. If she is Ukrainian or whatever, just speak with a little accent. Like it doesn't have to be so overtly heavy, in my opinion.
They're like trying to like drive home that
Yeah.
she's the enemy and foreign. And
Right. And part of the Red Scare. There are things I liked. I liked the ants up until they started forming a pyramid, human pyramid, or an ant pyramid to get to the girl.
Yeah, I liked that they would like devour whatever was in their path.
Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as they started like climbing each other,
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
They took a step too far.
Yeah.
And that's what a bunch of it was to me. Like they'd go one or a couple steps too far where I would just lose my suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
And like Shia fencing for a little bit there. I can accept a couple hits here and there. When it goes on for 10 minutes and now he's swinging through vines and stuff, too much.
Yeah.
Too much.
Yeah.
And he's able to catch up swinging on vines with cars.
Yeah. And he beat them
Yeah.
too. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't like the alien thing at all.
The end alien thing. Or the whole alien
I didn't
thing.
really care for any of it.
Okay.
I liked the idea of like a past society fully advancing on their own.
Yeah, that sounds more interesting to me.
And it's also, I think, what people do. It is like a conspiracy that is true, I think. I could be wrong. But I liked that idea more.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
It's like Mayans and stuff were really advanced. And,
yeah.
Yeah.
And we lost technology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went
I've heard
backwards.
that. I've heard that, and I love those theories, and it would have been great.
Me too. And
Yeah.
so that's what I was hoping this was. When they're like, oh, a city of gold and the streets were paved and they had technology that wouldn't come out for 5,000 years. I was on board with that.
Right.
And then they brought in the alien thing, and I was like, well, this is it went from like a cool adventure and like archaeology thing and knowledge thing to now it's an interdimensional being sci-fi thing.
Right.
And I feel like they didn't marry very well. Like the merge of these two genres didn't mix well for me. And I didn't believe most of it. I didn't believe any of it. I liked thinking that like the skull was from this technology that we don't have yet or that we lost.
Right.
I didn't like that they all merged together. And it's like, well, what about all the other skulls apparently that they've been finding? Like, what about that one in the corpse? Like,
how did they end up there?
Well, and why didn't they have to bring that one back? Why was it specifically that one?
Yeah.
Like, why? What happened? Did the other ones not have to go back? What if they did bring all of them back? Would something else have happened? And I don't like that just because all the skulls are there, now it's alive.
That whole end bit was ridiculous.
I hated it.
Yeah.
I didn't like the spaceship. I would have liked everything collapsing because it was disturbed, not because it turned into a spaceship.
Yeah.
And then took off into the dimension folds. Like, I didn't like that. The alien thing ruined it for me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like they had a lot of good stuff.
Yes, I agree.
But like you said, they just like took it too far because I did really like the beginning a lot. I liked when they're both on the motorcycle and they're going through the university and then they're like in the restaurant together, and I guess that was before, and then there's this like greaser fight that busts out. I thought it was really funny, and it was a very like time capsulated piece that was very admirable. But then it got to the bomb and then the aliens, and then it was like,
yeah.
And the more I talk about it, the more I don't like it. But
well, hang on, let me back up on some of the stuff you said, because I wanted to comment on a lot of it.
Oh, sorry.
But you were on a roll and I didn't want to stop you.
Yeah.
With the alien idea, I'm okay with it up until a point. So like when they find the skull, they don't know it's an actual alien skull. I'm fine with them finding something like that, provided it was made, by humans to worship their god, essentially. And when we find the human skeletons that have the elongated skulls, and Indy's like, oh yeah, they would tie infant skulls up to shape them like that. Totally cool. I love that connection. That's enough of a connection to me that I could accept it,
Yeah.
Where it starts to lose me is when they can communicate with this skull.
Yeah, where they like look into the eyes.
Right.
And now it's one with you, and now they can communicate with each other because they've both looked into the eyes.
And the skull is communicating with them.
Yeah.
And it's telling them things. I'm not okay with that. And this is just for the alien story arc or whatever. That's when it starts to lose me. I'm fine with the skull having like a magnetic thing to it that still falls into like lost technology.
Yeah.
And I think it's fun that El Dorado, the treasure's knowledge, I'm fine with all that stuff. I'm not fine. Well, I would be fine with that with the throne room if all of that was made by humans to worship these deities that they believed in. Not fine with them responding and being living and turning into a living thing. And then there's a spaceship that goes too far. It's too much. And it loses me so hard. I almost feel like it wasn't worth it. And I feel like they made cool stuff to a lazy story. But there's all these inconsistencies that you just pointed out. Like they found other skeletons, apparently 2 in Russia at least, Not to mention this one that the U.S. has in a box.
Yeah.
What about those? Those weren't brought back.
Yeah.
Nobody was in this place except for one person. He went crazy and brought the skull back to Peru.
Mm-hmm.
So what are these other skeletons doing? Are there more of these types of congregates of 13 other places in the world? If that's what they're alluding to, that's kind of cool, but not when they turn into real things and then go away to another dimension.
Yeah.
And then when in the very beginning, when they pull Indiana out of that car and they show him the storage room full of boxes where we've seen the Ark go, and we get to see it.
Yeah.
You know, nice callback. They're like, show us where that box is. And he's like, what box? And they're like describing him on a dig. And then he's like, oh, I know what to do. And he's like trying to find, metal things. And he's like, it'll show us through magnetism.
I hated that part.
Well, he gets them there. They open up this box and everything. And then he like runs away. And after the nuclear scene, he then starts up asking the feds, like, what was in the box?
Yeah.
It's like, Indy, you were the one that found it. I highly doubt that you kept it closed.
Right. And to have not done any research or like trying to figure out what's in there, because why wouldn't he want it? What's the point of looking for something if you don't know what it is?
Yeah.
It's not like he stumbled upon it. It was hard to find because they recruited him.
Well, like, even if he did stumble on it, it's very unlike his character to not research what he just found.
Yeah. Especially something that's like so weird.
Right.
That you can throw gunpowder in the air and it'll find it, which I didn't believe. I would have preferred if somebody actually had a compass.
Yeah.
Then I would have been like, okay. And then when they got closer, if they threw something at it, then I would have been like, okay, yeah, I get that. But for a cloud of gunpowder to go up and then whiz around, I didn't like it.
And apparently you didn't even need gunpowder or metal.
Yeah.
Just throw like something that feels metallic that's a high conductor.
If metal wanted to go to it so bad, why weren't all their dog tags trying to get to it in the first place? Because they show their dog tags sticking to it when they're carrying it.
Pretty cool when you see that.
It was cool, but it's like, why wasn't that doing it when they walked in the warehouse in the first place?
I have no clue, man.
Yeah.
There is so much about this film that I feel like was inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody was there being like, hey, didn't we just set precedent of something else?
Right. And I feel like there was a lot of like throwaway things that were big things. I'm thinking specifically of two. One was when they get to the grave and there's all these like, I don't know what to call them, like shadow people.
Yeah.
They're like wearing skeleton masks and there's a lot of them. Yeah. Like they're showing you that they're everywhere, lurking in the shadows. And then when they get attacked by them, they take out like 2 or 3 and then they're all gone.
Mm-hmm.
But they were alluding that it's crawling with them. So it's like, where did they go? They just disappeared. And then it's the same thing happened when they get to the city, the temple that they've been looking for. There's all these like natives that come out of the walls, which they are living there so they know what is there. And then they all disappear too. And there's no like, oh, these are the people that live here and they protect it or anything like that. It's like they were there, they attacked them, they saw the skull, they knew what it was. And nobody was like, oh, I'll take you or anything. They were afraid of it, which why would they be living there if they're so afraid of it unless they still worship it? But it didn't make any sense. And then they disappeared. They didn't like show that the bad guys like killed any of them. It didn't show any of that. They were just gone now.
It did have a scene with all of them dead.
It did?
Yeah.
When?
How to say? Right after they dropped into the temple, we see those red blinking trackers, and they're like outside the waterfall in one scene. And then in the next scene, we see at least like 5 of them dead on the ground and her picking up another red tracker.
I didn't see that at all. I saw the red tracker. I did not see the dead people.
Yeah, there was like 5, at least 5 in screen I saw, just dead on the ground shot.
Yeah, I don't like that because I don't know, it's just so weird that they were like living in the walls. They came out. They should have like something better to protect themselves, or they should be, I don't know.
Right. Well, it's confusing because like if they are protectors of something bad happening, why wouldn't they be more like the ones in the Last Crusade guys, where they're trying to protect the Grail from bad people? Like, I could understand some people keeping this skull away from this mass destruction. Like, maybe this alien wants to go on a tear on this world afterwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just, it's weird because it's like the skull wants to go back, but there's like all these stipulations with it, and I don't know.
It's so confusing.
It is. It's really confusing. And there was things that were like, I feel like set up and then forgot. And there was other things that they were like harping on too much.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There are things like that drove me crazy. But that being said, there were things I really liked in this movie. I really liked Indiana's relationship with almost every single person besides Mac.
Yeah.
It was nice to see Mary come back and be like, it's your son, and have a whole thing back and forth between the two of them.
Yeah.
That was great.
I liked when they were using the snake as a rope.
Do you see? That was another instance where they could have gone just one step too far, too, with that, because it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous enough to where you laughed at it.
Yeah. It was funny.
Yeah. And he just kept on hitting him in the face with it and stuff. Yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah, no. It was just enough in my estimation of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Something that I did like is there was so much problem solving. I really liked it. Like,
yeah.
I like this use of knowledge, this use of like, he's an expert, he knows a lot, this is his field, and he exercises it. And I like that his kid was showing the same things and the things that he knew, and I liked it. I liked all these puzzles, all this, like, these riddles they had to figure out. I liked that Ox went crazy and was like writing on the walls and they had to figure that out. I really liked that.
Yeah.
I thought that was great in this movie of how much problem solving it was, and it was all like practical, believable up until the aliens. But up until then, I liked it all.
Yeah.
I liked when they found that like treasure room and it was like, oh, they're artifacts from like everywhere. They were collectors. I thought that was really cool. I liked it.
I like that too. I liked it because he was constantly talking about them too, like trying to mull it over.
Yeah.
He's also explaining some of the thought process. He's like, oh, this language hasn't been spoken in like, 3,000 years. And he's like, I'm going to have to use Mayan to translate what I'm getting and stuff. All those little moments are great when they're in the cell and he gets up high and he's having the other guy sweep and stuff. It was great.
Yeah. And even when they're like, there's that like little collaboration between the good guys and the bad guys where they're like, this pictograph means this, but if it's with this other pictograph, then it means this. And then the girl would be like, oh, that word means this. And then they had like the map and they were like working together. I thought that was kind of cool.
When intellectual curiosity trumps adversity.
Yeah.
It was like a character trait, flaw, whatever you want to call it, that they were embraced in the moment. And the only one that noticed was Mutt.
Yeah.
Shia.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which I like how father and son are both named after dogs.
They named themselves.
They named themselves after dogs.
It was like a personal choice.
Ah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I liked, it's definitely a throwaway moment, but when they were on their motorcycle chase and then that statue, it was Brody's statue. And I thought it was funny that Brody saved them.
Yeah, Brody coming back.
Coming in clutch there, Brody.
Yeah, I like that. I like that scene.
And it did that little like nod for Brody. I liked it.
It was good.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, like I said, it was fun to watch.
Yeah.
Like watchability, I think was really high as long as you don't think about it too much.
Right.
But I guess it's all of these, but I don't know. This one I liked. Like I watched it.
Right.
And I enjoyed it. I wasn't thinking about it at the time. I wasn't like, there was things that I missed, but I think it's because it was just happening so fast. I didn't miss it because I was tuning out.
Right. No. That's normal.
But yeah, I don't know.
This is the point of the podcast is to get your view and what you think is what you liked or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that this movie, I mean, it does a lot right.
Mm-hmm.
It's just my weird nitpicking here. Other people thought it was good too.
Yeah.
It's good enough to where it's getting another one.
Is that for sure, or is it like maybe?
It was supposed to come out sooner, but because of the pandemic, it got pushed back to July 29, 2022.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think Shia LaBeouf will be in it now that he's a completely different person?
This movie came out, I believe, if I remember correctly, pre-Shia LaBeouf going crazy.
When did this movie come out?
2008.
Okay.
So, this was like height of Shia LaBeoufdom. You know what I mean? He was writing Transformers. I think there were other big movies that came out with him. I can't remember 2008 all that well, even though you think I would. But, he was big back then. He was in this brand new reboot, essentially, of Indiana Jones. So I think they were alluding to him being the new Indiana.
Yeah, definitely.
When he was picking up that hat.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. It's like, oh, this is the precursor for the next film. The next film is going to be his.
He's going to be the anchor for the next ones.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's what everyone was thinking when we saw this, Aubrey. Mm-hmm. Like, everyone was like, Shia's the new Indiana Jones.
Mm-hmm.
That brought up two sides. It was like Twilight all over again, like pro Shia, anti Shias. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder what they're going to do now.
Harrison Ford's set to reprise his role. So.
Well, he could still do that with...
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, in this film, he still did a lot of his own stunts.
Really?
Yeah,
do you know how old he was in this film?
I don't. I could look it up pretty easily.
It doesn't really matter. I mean, age doesn't really define what you can do physically. I feel like that's a stigma that's not...
Well, yeah. And like Harrison Ford was trying to like set a new way of thinking about age through this film.
Yeah.
Like he purposely is quoted of encouraging them making fun of his age, and he refused to dye his hair, and he wanted Americans to reduce their paranoia about aging.
I like that.
Yeah. And like he was in good shape still. When they took his measurements to make the suit and everything for him, he was the exact same size.
Nice.
And because of advancements in stunt technology, he was able to do all of his own stunts still. Or
most of them.
A majority of them. Like the ridiculous ones, I think they might have still needed a stunt man. But he did a majority of them still. And he did a majority of his stunts in the last one. So
yeah, I really like that. I think it's a great thing to do.
And his stunt double in the Lost Crusade said that if he wasn't a good actor, he would have made a great stunt man.
Oh wow,
yeah.
High praise.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
He loves doing his own stunts.
Well done.
I'm sure he was the one actually flying the plane in the last one because he flies planes.
Oh yeah, and he keeps crashing them, doesn't he?
Yeah, so it was probably a totally real day for him. Yeah, so the guy does his own stuff. He was born in 1942, so that was right when the war ended. So he's 1 year older than Grandma.
Yeah, he's 78.
Dang, this guy ages great.
Really well. Didn't he do like a lot of drugs too when he was younger?
I think everyone was doing drugs in the 70s.
Fair point. So yeah, even with drugs, he still looks good. Still getting on good.
Yeah.
Way to go, Harrison Ford.
Right? Show this to Grandma. Be like the person that wants to give up on life. Be like, look at this guy.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think he did great. And I really do admire that he's trying to get rid of this age stigma because your age doesn't define anything besides being of age.
Well, yeah, it's like if you want to do crazy things in life, you got to do them. Work out. Be active. It doesn't matter how old you are. If you want to do pull-ups, you got to build up that strength. You can't just do a pull-up.
All right. Well, and I think it goes for anything. Like, just because you're 60-something doesn't mean you can't learn a new skill or go back to school or
go out and do
things, go travel, like do something you never thought you would have done before. Just because you're older doesn't mean you can't do anything anymore. I know this is like coming from a young person, but I think that if there's something you want to do, it's only your fault for not trying to do it.
Well, it's like mentality.
Yeah.
For age specifically or ability is such a big thing. Like, yeah, there are limitations that your body can do. But when you want to do something, actually like getting out there and doing things helps you get to do more things.
Yeah, just jumping in is where it's going to get you to where you want to be.
You don't need to jump into the deep end, but you can start off treading water.
But you got to step into that pool somehow.
And then slowly drift over. It's like if I wanted to be a scuba diver and all I did was just wail around and be like, I can't swim. I can't do any of it. It's like, dude, you got to get out there and learn how to kick on a kickboard first. Of course, you're not going to be doing somersaults into a river or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so Harrison Ford, kudos to you, man.
Mm-hmm.
Great job.
Yeah.
Still had it.
Yeah. You did good.
This was one of my favorite performances from him.
Yeah, I definitely think this is the best version of his Indiana Jones. I think he did so good in this one of bringing like humor and knowledge, and he really like wrapped it all up super well, being witty and then
wisdom of time too. Like when he's just like talking to Shia and he's just like, why are you getting all worked up?
Yeah.
You know? And he's trying to impart knowledge without beating it over the head.
Yeah. And even when he like reunites with Marion and she's like, I'm sure there were other girls. And he's like, oh, there were, but they weren't you. And I was like, ah ha ha, that was good.
He's got the suaveness that you can only get with age.
Yeah. It was good.
And she was still in love with him.
Still in love with him.
The face that she made when he walked away, it looked like a girl still in love.
Mm-hmm.
She did a great job still.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I still loved her.
Yeah.
Not as much as I loved her in the first one, but I think she still did a really good job.
Yeah, I still loved her a lot. It was still so easy to fall in love with the two of them.
Yeah. Great chemistry.
Great chemistry.
Makes a difference.
It does. It does.
They got a gel.
They get married at the end and everything. It just feels right. It's also nice. I don't know how to phrase this, but it's also nice that he's in love with someone his own age. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was appropriate. I mean,
he's not just like going. They didn't just throw in
another blonde,
a super hot 28-year-old blonde or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm glad. I feel like they did like a circle in these 4 movies of like where they started, then they went somewhere else, then they went somewhere else again, and then they came back.
Right. But this still shares a lot of similarities with The Last Crusade, with the father-son moments. It was great.
It worked. Yeah, it was really good.
I like their father-son moments a lot. And how they carry over and how he wasn't there for his son growing up, just like his dad wasn't there for him growing up.
Yeah.
It's like a strange irony.
I really liked his reaction to finding out that he's his dad. He like wasn't like upset or anything. The most thing he was upset about is that he wasn't in school. But I feel like he took it like so lightly and so like with like such open arms of being like, my son? Oh, he's my son.
Yeah, he didn't second guess it.
Yeah, he accepted it and was willing to take it and move on with it.
I mean, he had that moment of like, why didn't you tell me? I would have wanted to know.
Totally understandable.
Yeah. It's just like the second he found out, he's like trying to get into dad mode. You're going back to school. You're going to get yourself an education.
And then it like starts getting like lighter and lighter with his like anger to when he like pulls him out of the pit. He's like, thanks, son.
Yeah.
It's funny. And then Shia starts doing it back and it's funny.
Yeah, I like those moments.
Yeah, me too.
I like how he accepted him when they're walking down the altar. He brings him into.
Yeah.
It's
nice.
Good.
It's
I
cute.
like it.
It's like it warms your heart.
It does.
And it's nice. Yeah.
It felt good too.
Yeah.
It almost felt right.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
Me too.
Good things about this movie. Good things about this movie.
Yeah. Bad things about this movie.
Bad things about this movie. Good things about this movie.
Yeah.
It was 2008. They were getting things right and wrong all the time.
Just trying to figure it out.
Right.
That's all I got.
That's all you got?
You have anything else?
There was that one scene. We were talking about it earlier when they're driving through the campus on the motorcycle. And then they go into the library.
Yeah.
That one guy that they hit with the motorcycle is like, Professor, I have a question.
Yeah.
And he's like, let me tell you the real stuff, kid. Real archaeologists don't spend all their time in the library. They go out in the field. He is contradicting himself here.
From what he said the last time, yeah.
Yeah. In the last movie, he said like, what was it?
It's research.
Yeah, he said that 85% of archaeology is spent in the library.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, the last time he was like, you have to do the research, you have to study.
Right.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Which is a more honest, what's the word I'm looking for? Advice, like summary of what archaeology is. And this one, he's giving like a fantasy of what archaeology is.
Yeah. I'll let it go because
it was a fun throwaway.
It was a fun throwaway, and like the adrenaline of like that motorcycle slide was so fun.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
And going under all the tables.
Yeah. And then they just walk it off.
Yeah.
How dumb was it that he brought that stupid motorcycle on that plane?
When it's in the plane, I'm like, why the heck would you bring your motorcycle to Peru? Like, first of all, you don't know if there's going to be any gas stations where you're going. And I didn't think there were. Like, every little town they were in, I'm like, there's no way there's a gas station in there. Look at those people. They're carrying baskets on their head because they had to go get water that way. There's no way they're like, oh, yeah, the 7-Eleven's down the road.
Just hit up that Arco right over there.
Yeah, I thought that was dumb. And then it's like they had to lose the motorcycle because it was they were probably like, this is annoying and it doesn't make sense. So then they like ditched it somewhere.
It would have made more sense to ditch it at the airport, New York City airport.
Yeah.
Just leave it there at the beginning.
Yeah. And then you wouldn't be upset that you lost it. How could you not think you would lost it? You were going to lose it. And how expensive to fly this stupid thing to Peru. They charge you like $50 to take one suitcase. Imagine what they charge you to take a whole motorcycle.
Back then, probably $50.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, 1951.
Yeah, that's all I got for this movie. I think overall, I didn't love Indiana Jones.
Not on your watch list.
It's not my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, just I don't know. Do you call this a series? Or like a license.
I mean, I'd call it a series because there's 4 of them now.
Okay, so this whole series, the last 2 were the best for me. And second one, let's just throw that embarrassment away. First one was okay. Yeah, it was okay. Like, I'm glad I watched it. Now I know what's going on, even though I feel like I already got the gist of Indiana Jones. The ride really taught me a lot.
The ride's great.
It's really good. I thoroughly enjoy it.
We've talked about it for 4 days in a row now.
Because it's still better than half of these movies. But yeah, I don't think I'll ever need to rewatch it. It's not in my top 10.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Do you think you'll watch the next one when it comes out in 2020?
I think I will. I think I feel like obligated to finish it, just like I was obligated to watch the 4th one, even though the first 3 were really the ones we were going to focus on.
It's a weird feeling when you have watched enough of a series that you feel obligation, even if you're not totally into it, to just go see it.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's like a small part of me that's like, well, what if this is the one that they get right? Like, what if this is the one where it's perfect?
Yeah.
To where I could be like, no notes.
No notes. Well, you kind of had that feeling with The Last Crusade.
Yeah.
Or The Lost Crusade, whatever it was.
Yeah. Yeah, 3 I did like a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I kind of did have that. So it's like this feeling of like, oh, what if the 5th one is amazing?
Yeah.
And
I feel like it's going to be great.
Yeah. And if it's really bad, then whatever. But I feel like I'm a part of something now.
Yeah.
To where I'm in this like Indiana Jones knowledge cult bubble. To where I'm like, well, I want to be a part of that too.
Yeah.
So
it's like Star Wars.
It's exactly like that. Except I actually like Star Wars.
Yeah. Just for anyone that wants to know, Aubree's first Star Wars film was The Force Awakens, and she watched the newest trilogy. And then from that newest trilogy, she went back to watch all the old Star Wars films, and then watched the Clone Wars series, and then Rebels.
Yeah. Yeah, I did 7, 8, 9, and then I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
And then the animated stuff and
yeah.
I love it.
Totally into Star Wars.
Big fan. Big
Yeah.
fan.
And hopefully we'll get you to be a big fan on multiple things from here.
I'm just excited to be in on movie culture finally.
Starting to watch all these movies everyone talks about.
Yeah, and like references and
Yeah.
yeah, it's exciting.
It's always nice to learn something that everyone always references.
Yeah.
There's movies that I still haven't seen that people reference all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, well, but it's like this weird feeling where you just don't bother watching these movies until you like have to watch it for some reason.
Yeah. Well, it's like when I'm in a situation where somebody's talking about a movie I haven't seen that's going to last for like less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's like either get through the 5 minutes and either pretend like I've seen it and just get through it or say that I haven't and now I have pressure to watch it. I have pressure to watch hour and a half to possible 3 hours of something I may or may not like. And it's just it's a lot of time and it sounds like a lot of work.
Well, like with Indiana Jones, you had to invest 8 hours.
Yeah.
And that's just Indiana Jones. When we do Lord of the Rings, that's going to be even more
Right.
time.
But I don't know. It's different now because we're podcasting. I feel like I have a good reason to do it.
Yeah.
We're also in quarantine still, so it's like I have the time, which I've never had the time before.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a fun way to use my time. And I'm
Yeah.
having fun.
Yeah.
And they're movies I've wanted to watch. I've just never had that much ambition to.
Yeah.
But it's always that thing in the back of your mind where you're like, oh, I kind of want to watch that. And you have this list in your mind and you're like, maybe I'll do it. But the thing I do is like, if I do have time to watch a movie, I'm like, do I want to watch a movie that I may or may not like? Or do I want to watch Monty Python and the Quest for the Holy Grail because I know it's going to make me laugh? I know I love it. So why would I not watch something that I know I love? It's like watching The Office for the billionth time. I know I like it. And I don't have to waste my time on something I don't like.
Aubrie loves rewatching movies she loves to a degree that I could not comprehend. So she loves Coco, the Pixar animated film. Great film. I loved it too. I've only seen it once or twice. Aubrie has seen it close to 10 times.
I don't know. I don't count.
And she watches it. I'll be watching like a brand new movie or show before we started this podcast, and I'll look over at Aubrie and she's laughing. I'll be like, "What you watching?" And she's like, "Coco." Or it's like another Pixar film or something else that she loves. And I'll be like, "Oh, okay, cool." Next month, same exact scenario. I'm looking over at Aubrie. She's laughing. I'm like, "What you watching?" Coco.
Okay. But to be fair, a lot of times is like one of my old roommates taught me this is a lot of the time I don't have a ton of time. I'll just watch it because like I need a break from studying or like I have like 10 minutes or like something. I don't have time to start anything. So I'll watch like just segments of movies that I've already seen because I know I like them. I know they're going to make me feel happy and put me in a good mood. So I'll watch like 10 minutes of Coco.
Yeah.
And I'll watch Coco over the span of like 2 weeks because I'm just watching it like 10 minutes at a time.
Yeah, that's something I can't do.
I like it. I like to skip around in movies that I like. Little scenes that make me giggle, songs that I love.
Well,
like,
I could get like a scene, a coherent scene.
Yeah, I don't like stop in the middle of like a song and I'm like, all right, good enough. I'm going to take a shower.
It's time to go.
Like, I don't do that, but I'll like be like, okay, this is a good place to stop because I know what's going to happen and I'm comfortable stopping. I don't know. Or like it's a background thing. Like if I'm like scrolling.
Yeah,
or
I've heard the background thing.
I'll put I just put something on because I like the noise sometimes, especially when you don't want to be left alone with your thoughts. So sometimes I like the noise.
My friend Matt, he would always put on, what was it, Independence Day, I think it was. And that's how he got this. That's the way he went to sleep.
Yeah.
He'd watch Independence Day for like the 78th time and it'd put him to sleep every single time.
Yeah.
Which is a weird film.
I've never seen that one either.
Well, I mean, it's a weird, what I meant is it's a weird film to go to sleep to, seeing it's about like the apocalypse.
Oh my. That's not what I thought it was going to be about at all.
I think it's an alien invasion. It's got Will Smith in it.
Dear, I thought it was going to be like our founding fathers.
No, it's a
Hmm.
alien invasion,
Oh.
and it's like one last ditch effort to kick them out.
You know what? I don't think I like movies with aliens in them.
Wait until we see Men in Black.
Okay. Because, like, I feel like generally, like, aliens, and anytime I see zombies other than warm bodies, because that's a hot zombie, I'm like, I don't like it.
Yeah, wait until we watch Men in Black, because Men in Black is, I think, more up your alley. I'm struggling to think of alien movies, but yeah. Besides Alien. I haven't seen Alien. Do you want to do that?
Not particularly. Can we put that in the jar movies?
Yeah. We got to come up with this, like, a jar of movies that we don't want to watch that we'll watch.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of movies that I haven't seen that I just refuse to see.
Yeah.
Alien is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of horror movies would be on that list.
Yeah, I'm not a horror person.
Yeah. I watched It for the first time recently.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see what the deal is about that movie. It wasn't even scary.
Hmm.
It was just a weird movie. It wasn't even good.
Mm.
And there's two-hour, like, it's a long-ass movie. It's got to be split into 2 parts.
Hmm.
I want to say each one is like 3 hours long or
Oh,
something.
man.
It's ridiculous.
That was a very long time.
Shall we move on to some facts?
Yes.
Fact
time.
We already discussed it came out in 2008. The budget for this film was $185 million.
That's because they had to get so many monkeys.
I don't think they had to make these monkeys like they did with the rats.
That's a lot.
Right?
There's so much CG in this.
There's so much CG.
So many special effects.
There's too much.
We're not special. Yeah, that's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
But when you're at this stage with our George and Spielberg combo, they've got lots of money now.
Also, I feel like it's normal now
Yeah.
to put that much money into movies, like,
To spend an outrageous amount of money.
because it seems like the more you invest, the more you get back.
Yeah.
Because like they made $790 million from this.
790.
$790 million is what they returned with, which is an incredible amount more from the other ones for the box office.
Yeah. I think this one also had the element of like suspense too that helped it.
Yeah, I mean it's got 20 years
Yeah.
of hype going on. Just
Yeah.
like people grew up watching these films very similar to Star Wars.
It's this nostalgia thing that they're wanting.
And so when you're like, oh, hey, it's coming back, just like how when Episode 1 or The Force Awakens came back, it's a big hit.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be in on the ground floor of possibly greatness or just a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes gives this a 78%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Less than I thought.
What'd you think they would have got?
I don't know. I feel like it would have given it like an 89 or something.
Yeah, I could have seen that. This is like a nice C plus
Yeah.
B.
I guess that's right. I don't know what I would give it.
It's a lineup
winky
with Rotten
face?
Tomatoes.
Nah, definitely not this time. I don't know what I would rate it, but I don't think I'd give it that.
Paramount wanted to make the whip CG, but Harrison Ford refused, calling it a ridiculous idea.
Why did they want to CG it?
For safety reasons and insurance reasons.
Okay.
But CG a whip?
That'd be hard. It has to be so... It wouldn't look right.
You know what? I think you'd be surprised how many things they could CG with the whip and make it look exactly right.
Right, but in 2008, like, they couldn't even CG other things properly in this movie.
Iron Man came out that year.
Okay, but this movie, there's a lot of things where you could tell that it was aging poorly.
Yeah.
So I don't think they could have done that well here. I understand that you could do crazy, amazing things with CG.
Yeah.
That there's a lot of things that I'm like, I didn't even realize that was CG. But we're talking about the fourth Indiana Jones. And it would not have worked well.
With this movie, there was huge polarization amongst the people that watched it. It was nominated for a lot of best of awards, but it was also nominated for a lot of worst of awards.
They give awards for being the worst?
I think they call them the Razzies.
I could win an award?
I like that thinking, Aubrey. Yeah, I think they call them Razzies.
That's fun.
There was a huge criticism over the dialogue in this film, the storyline, the pacing, and the overuse of CGI.
Mm-hmm. Good thing they didn't do that whip. Can you imagine?
It's like you just spiked a volleyball down in my face. I wanted to throw this one in, even though I didn't mention them in the other ones. But C-3PO, R2-D2, and E.T. are in every single Indiana Jones film in some way.
What?
Yeah.
Oh!
So in this one, they're like hieroglyphs inside the not the treasure room, but the artifact room.
Uh-huh.
In the first one, R2-D2 and C-3PO are hieroglyphs in the room where they find the Ark.
Oh,
Yeah, and so like they're in there in some way or another.
that's cool.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah,
How fun.
right.
I don't really care about the E.T. bit. I don't really like. I've never
You
seen
haven't,
E.T.
you haven't seen E.T. It's on the list. I have it on the list.
Creeps me out though. So don't care for
He
him.
did give me nightmares when I was a kid.
Yeah, same. And I didn't even watch the movie. Didn't have to. There used to be an E.T. ride at Universal, wasn't there?
Yeah, and it's now where the Mummy ride is.
Mm.
And it was like a bunch of bicycles, and everyone had their own little bicycle.
I feel like I remember going on it, and that made me not like it.
It was...
It scared me. Most things in Universal scared me when I was little.
Well, Universal is a weird theme park to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
As for the E.T. ride, I only remember getting into the ride area and sitting on the bicycle and then leaving. I don't remember the actual ride.
I remember Mom liking it a lot.
I think Mom likes E.T. a lot.
She's a big E.T. fan.
Yeah. I have only seen E.T. once, and I don't remember liking it a whole lot.
Well, buckle in.
I know, but you haven't seen it yet, so we gotta...
I gotta see it.
Yeah. I shouldn't have probably said my thoughts on E.T. already, but...
The goal is to watch all the movies that are featured in Universal Studios. Ooh, let's do Waterworld!
Yeah, that's not on the list, but we could throw it on there.
Yeah.
I definitely have seen that like twice.
I've never seen it.
Also a very weird film.
I can't wait.
What we're talking about now.
Oh, E.T., C-3PO, and R2.
So they're in the Indiana Jones movies, every single one apparently.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now I kind of want to go back and look for them. Nah, I don't.
Just look them up on Google.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
going to say. I'll just look it up.
So my last one, it's kind of a fact, but for a while there was a saying called nuking the fridge that became a replacement for jumping the shark. But you probably never heard of jumping the shark.
I have not.
So jumping the shark was a phrase that is still used, actually. I still hear it on reviewers sometimes. That is used for movies that take things too far. For a while, nuking the fridge became jumping the shark because Indiana Jones gets blown the frick up and then walks it off like a champ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was dumb. Join us next time on the Spielberg podcast.
Join us next time when we go through Spielberg's works. See you then.